Hello, everyone. Welcome to FPL Without Borders. I'm your host, Arsalan, and we have a full house today with Puneet and Ahsan as well. This video is not just another FPL video. This is your evergreen go-to free hit chip guide. Whether it's this season, next season, or the one after that, these rules and strategies will not change unless FPL changes any rules, which it generally doesn't. So yeah, so take these, take this is our ultimate free hit chip guide. And if you want to master the free hit chip and avoid common mistakes and try to maximize your free hit chip, save this video now. Anytime you're about to activate this free hit chip, come back, follow these 10 essential facts and 10 expert tips, and this will help you gain massive edge over your rivals. And just don't overthink it. Try to follow these simple, very simple and basic rules, and you will see the returns. Um, if you're watching, hit that like button and subscribe. We spend a lot of time getting this content out for you. We spend a lot of time analyzing stuff. So please give us a subscribe, and we'll be coming up with more videos on wildcard chip guide and all the other chip guides as well. So let's get into it. So basically, we're dividing it into two main things. So number one, we have 10 free hit must know facts, and then we have 10 free hit tips to maximize your ranks. So these must know facts are, you can say, the rules of a free tip, which a lot of people are not aware of. So it's very, very important that you know what the rules are to be able to maximize this chip. So yeah, number one, all transfers in a free hit game week are temporary, which means that, let's say you had a game week 26 deadline today and you made your transfer today. So let's say you did Morgan Rogers to Clivert, and then tomorrow you activate your free hit chip. That would mean that, so basically all the transfers you do even after activating your free hit chip, are considered to be your free hit transfers. So for example, you transferred in Salah, you transferred in Clivert for Rogers. That Clivert will not be in your non-free hit team after your free hit chip has done. That transfer will also be considered as a free hit transfer. And after your game week squad, like after your game week deadline has ended, in which you played your free hit chip, your team from the previous deadline you will be reverted back to that team. So the transfers you made even without before running your free hit chip will not be counted in your team after the deadline ends. I hope that was clear. Number two, save transfers are not lost. This season, we can accumulate up to 5 free transfers before using a free hit chip. So even after you play your free hit chip, you retain the save transfers to the next week. So like let's say if you had 4 transfers today, then you played your free hit chip in game week 29. In game week 30, you will still have 5 free transfers. They will not be reset to 0 or 1 transfers. Uh, till the last season, it used to be uh, I think 1 free transfer before a free hit. So now there you can accumulate up to 5, which is a very big incentive and a benefit for the managers. Moving on, Puneet.
Yeah, I think important to note the first 2 points, and I'm glad you brought the second point up. One point which has remained consistent is the fact that there are no permanent price gains or drops on free hit players. So, for example, if you have taken or hired in a player, or you have transferred in a player rather, if they rise up, and this season is specifically, in fact, in the last few seasons, you have noticed that players are rising up by even point 0.2 or if not point 0.3. Like I have seen a couple of players this season, last season as well, because what's happening is more engagement is happening with the with teams. The number of players have gone up to around this season. I think there's around 11 plus million players who are playing the game. So if there are players who rise up while you have taken a free hit, there isn't it doesn't stay with your team, it doesn't increase your team value, and neither does a drop increase. So as soon as you come out of the free hit, your team value goes back to what it was in the game week before the free hit, and the prices of the players remain the same as well. So that's an important point to note. Um, the core squad value. I mean, continuing to that from the same point. The fourth point is the core squad value or the price changes still apply. Now, say let's give you an example here, right? One of the players everyone is now buying is say Cunha. Now Cunha has risen yesterday. Assuming you had taken a free hit for him, you had taken him in your game week 27 team or 26 team. So he rose by point 0.1. Now in your 27 team, you took a free hit, and then the player rose by zero point 0.1 again, and then zero point 0.1 again. So which means he rose by zero point 0.2 in totally, or even if he increases by zero point 0.1 in game week 27. Now, when you come out of game week 27 and go to game week 28, Cunha would have risen zero point 0.1 for you eventually. Why? Although he wouldn't have risen if he in 26 because he only rose by zero point 0.1, but by 28 he had risen by zero point 0.2, and during the free hit he had risen by zero point 0.1, including the zero point 0.1 in game week 26. By 28 he had risen by zero point 0.2, which means that in your team, uh, if that is your core squad in game week 26, that zero point 0.1 reflection will show up. So I hope that point was clear.
Yeah. Just to add to that, like one just to like clarify. So if you buy a player on free hit and the value of that player increases during the free hit, you can sell that player and you can use the price increase of that player. So your squad value will increase only during the free hit week. And after that week, your team value will be whatever you had before the free hit.
Exactly.
So the core squad value remains the same, but during a free hit, your core squad value can increase and you can use that increased squad value by getting like more expensive players, for example.
Exactly. Yes. Oh, the next one is intra game week profits are possible. So you can sell a player for a profit within the same 48 weeks. So exactly what Arslan was saying, right? If you are buying a player, um, and that by the time say the deadline is Saturday, and the previous Sunday you bought a player. Now between the Sunday to Saturday, till the deadline, the player has risen by point 0.1 or point 0.2. That profit can be used, right? Using the same Kune example, you bought him on Sunday, your deadline is on Saturday. Between Sunday to Saturday, he has risen by point 0.2, which means your team value has increased, the player value has increased. On Friday, there is a news that comes in which says that hey, he's injured. Now you want to sell that player out, and you want to buy a replacement. So that point 0.2 price rise, which is a profit for you because you bought him on Sunday, is now becoming valuable to you, and you can sell him on Sunday with a higher price value, but and buy a similar or whatever price value that is remaining in your bank. But that is applicable only for that free hit, which means the moment you go back on after the deadline, which is after Saturday, your team value will come back. But till Saturday, you are able to use that point too. So that's the intra game week profit, which you can use. Another point, which is like the core of FPL. Free hit is one of the chips. So amidst the four chips that we have, three which are given to us, or at least this season, which were given to us pre-hand, and one which was like a surprise chip, which was the assistant manager. Every season you have one free hit chip. So free hit is one of the excuse me, three chips that you have, and barring the COVID-19 seasons, was 21-22, where because of the season break and because of the implications it had on players' teams and not knowing what would happen in the future, FPL quarters had decided to give the second free hit. But other than that, be rest assured that unless of a natural calamity or something like that similar, there is only one free hit chip that can be used. Uh, Another point is that the free hit chip is can be played in any game week. Now, this is an important point. The reason is there is no restriction on playing the chip, which means you can use it between game week 1 to game week 38. timing is everything in FPL, right? Everyone buys players, everyone wants players who are rising, who you see have a higher upside, and hence, more often than not, people use this chip in three scenarios. One is your blank game week. For example, 29 is one game week which in the most recent season or right now, everyone is saying, oh, there is a blank game week coming up in 29. Or um, so that's one scenario which you definitely kind of start thinking of, okay, do I need to stack up players right now so that I need to use my free hit chip in 29, or do I don't stack up players till now and just use my free hit chip and get out of it? So that's one definite scenario, which is a blank game week. The second scenario is the double game weeks that are coming in. If you see that there is a double game week coming up for you in say 32, 33, 34, and your team is not set up, or you have to take too many hits, that's a bang on scenario which you should. And I have seen earlier, this is something which I have observed in the last 5, 6 years versus the first 4, 5 years. So like I've been playing this game for the last 8, 9 years at least, or close to 10. And in the initial early seasons, people used to use the free hit chip a lot in the double game weeks, and they used to uh, not use it in blank game week, but prepare for it, because knowing that the blank game week won't give you that higher return versus a double game week would give. So hence they used to use that in double game weeks to maximize fixtures. And the third scenario is the fixture swing. So whenever you see that, if there, this is most likely not used, but there's always an option to use it because you can use it at any time. The last point here, or rather the eighth point here, is that you can't use a chip with any other chip. This is not only to free hit, that's with every chip that you use, which means FPL only allows you to use one chip in a game week. So it's not that uh, you can use now with the announcement of assistant manager. Actually, you can't use that chip because assistant manager goes over 3 weeks. So hence you can't use any chip in those 3 weeks. But apart from the assistant manager, any other chip that you use, that is wild card and triple captain, that can be used in one game week only. So you cannot combine any other chips or a bench boost also with with the free hit chip.
Essen?
Okay, so 2 points before I come on to point number 9 and point number 10. 2 points that I would like to just highlight from both Arsalan and Puneet section. I think you can play any chip in all the game weeks, barring the first one, because I think the first game week is where obviously you have your first game. So just to avoid any confusion, in the first game week you cannot play any chip. All chips are valid from game week 2 and onwards. And secondly, I've come across in a few seasons the confusion regarding a game week, and I see this on social media also, that if a team is playing twice in game week or even once in game week, people often get confused as to why are there two games for a team in a single game week. Because obviously, due to scheduling, etc., postponement like in COVID, teams have played twice, which is considered one game week. So to avoid any confusion, a team can play twice or maybe in very rare circumstances 3 times in a single game week. Obviously, on different days, but it's still counted as one game week so that all teams are eventually aligned when the number of games they have played. So, coming on to point number 9, I think it's one of the most important points of the free hit guide, that free hit should aim for at least a 25-point gain over your regular team. Just to gauge how this is possible, what you can do is you can just look at your current game week team, and you can look at the free hit squad that you're trying to make, or the one which is ideal to your liking. You can just try to analyze that. For example, keepers versus defenders versus midfielders versus attackers. Do you really think, obviously, what actually happens and everything aside, that this actual player or a particular set of players will get you realistically around roughly a ballpark figure of 20-25 more points than your actual team will, if you feel that can actually happen? For example, all three of us captain Palmer for this game week, and even though he did not haul, we all thought on the eye test, based on the fixture, based on the fact that he's playing home, and based on the fact that he's hungry to get his form back, it was the right call to go with him. And on any other day, he would have hauled. So you would have factored that in into your calculation, that yes, if Palmer maybe gets me like 10, 15 points, so yes, and if I don't have him in my regular team, then yes, he's ideal to be a candidate in my free hit team. Similarly, you can do a similar analysis on other sets of players. So if you feel that a 25 point positive swing can be in your favor, then I think it's one of the basic factors that you can consider once activating your free hit chip. Secondly, in the same point, strategic free hit use can benefit future double game weeks. For example, double game week 31 and double game week 33. This is just mainly what Puneet also discussed, that you have to be careful in which game week you wish to uh, activate your chip. And I think we will discuss it later also when we discuss activating it in a single game week or a double game week, depending on your actual team structure. And the last point is that free hit cannot be reversed. Once activated, the free hit chip is locked in. Unlike other, for example, the triple captain chip, you can activate it at any point up until the deadline. But free hit, once activated, it cannot be reversed. So if you are triggering it, be 100% sure or majority percent sure that you want to actually go through it. And transfers made during a free hit do not count towards season-long transfer totals as well. I think this is an important overlook point, but mainly due to the points total and other factors, it does not really come into calculation, but just a sort of a side point to keep your eye on. So these are your basic 10 must knows about the free hit chip. You can obviously go through them again and again if you are trying to activate it, but at the same time, these upcoming 10 free hit chip tips are also very important if you actually wish to maximize the impact your free hit chip has. So I'll
And
Arsalan,
and
please, if you
before
can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and before we sort of jump into the next tips, if you have made it till here, I would be very grateful if you guys like and subscribe this channel. We've put a lot of effort in this, and it really helps us as well. So till now, what we've discussed, these are like basics. Like you have to know all of the 10 points we just discussed to be able to do a decent free hit chip. And the next 10 points we'll discuss, these are to sort of have one of the best free hits you can like. This has to maximize this chip. The free hit chip is one of the most impactful chips. So yeah, let's get into it. Essen.
Okay, so these are the starting 4 points. The first point is you target high XG teams versus high XGC teams. Basically, just amount of goals and chances one team makes and concedes. You have to focus on attacking teams playing weaker defenses. For this season, the teams have been Southampton and Leicester. They have always been the go-to teams. Leicester, Southampton, both week in week out continue to ship in goals. So, for example, if you have a game week where, for example, City is playing Southampton home or Liverpool is playing Leicester home, then a triple up is a no-brainer. So, for example, two teams, six players from both the teams, you have whether it's one midfielder, one defender, one attacker, all out attack, all out defense, whatever your preference is, do make sure that you don't skip out on these fixtures. The second point, activate free hit early for price gains, similar to what we discussed in the basics. What Puneet touched upon as to how to maximize the potential price gains. This allows you to benefit from price rises before the deadline. So, if you are, for example, in this season, we have two blank game weeks, 29 and 34. So, those who are certain to use their free hit in 29, for example, as soon as game week 28 ends or is about to end or even starts, you can activate your free hit so that you can just be one step ahead of everyone else. Thirdly, pick explosive high scoring players. You have to choose player with high point potential, for example, capable of 15 plus point hauls. One example would be choosing maybe the likes of Saka versus Palmer. Both are consistent, both are very good players, but you would expect Palmer to be more explosive in terms of double-digit hauls and bonus points, as opposed to Saka maybe is getting that odd assist or odd goal. And the fourth point is if you include three differential punts. For example, you choose triple City, triple Liverpool playing Leicester on Southampton home. You still have five slots to fill. So it's always important to enjoy FPL. Also, it doesn't have to be very strict that you have to stick to the template or you have to get players who everyone else has due to ownership. But you can always get in a few punts, and those punts can go a long way in getting that, what we spoke about, those 25-point gains. So try to enjoy it also, but at the same time, make sure that your core structure of your free hit team is very good and worthy of getting you much better points than your actual core team.
Yep. Like two points I would like to add, like sort of here very quickly. So this the three differential punts, like these are to sort of give you an incentive or a big green compared to your non-free hitters. So if your strategy is to, let's say, free hit in 33 while others are also free hitting in 29, you can get massive gains. Um, like your idea is to get more points than non-free hit teams as well. And like quickly, I wanted to briefly explain the XG and XGC. So XG is basically expected goals, and XGC is expected goals conceded. So XG teams would be Man City or Liverpool, and XGC teams would be like Southampton as or Wolves or Ipswich teams who concede a lot of goals. Yeah. So point number five that we have here is to maximize your free hit chip is to have at least two playing substitutes. Um, this is especially for if you're playing your free hit chip in a single game week, which this season, 2024-25 season, a lot of people would be playing it in a single game week. So account for unexpected rotation, injuries, benching, and have at least two playing substitutes. Number 6 point, which is related to five as well, is use your budget enablers smartly. Balance your squad with affordable options. If you want to have two playing substitutes, try to have a budget like at least one or two budget enablers, so that, which takes us to point number seven as well, is to maximize your starting 11 and minimize bench. So your starting 11 should be your all out attacking players. Like by attacking, I mean high point potential players. So your focus should be on your starting 11. Use your budget enablers smartly. Have at least two substitutes from those budget enablers in your on your bench, but your first 11 should be extremely solid. And one point on the same point number seven is, especially in double game weeks, try to minimize your bench as much as possible. Reason being that your team is playing two games in a single game week. So if you got a player, the chances of that player blanking 2 weeks or like getting benched or not playing in two consecutive games is very, very low. So for example, if you start Gakpo and and Gakpo gets benched in the first game, your bench your player from your bench will not come in because Gakpo will most probably start the next week, like the next game in the same game week. So there will be very less probability of any of your bench players starting in a double game week. So if you're playing your free hit chip in a double game week, maximize your starting 11 and minimize your bench, because your bench will most probably not play at all in your team. So yeah, moving on to point number eight, Puneet.
Yeah, great points till now, and generally, I'm learning as much as uh, you know, discussing this with you guys. So really happy to present. And like Arsan mentioned, we've put in a lot of effort into getting this, especially Arsan himself. Uh, One of the important points is to pick players with motivation. So think about this, right? With the most recent example, the two players who, let's say you're doing strikers, you know, Nottingham Forest are now at, especially if you say hit it in between 34, 35, 36, closer to the end of the season. You know Nottingham Forest are doing well. They want to come into top four. So if you're playing there, your first name or one of the players you should can target is Chris Wood, versus say someone who's 10th or 12th during that time, like say Tottenham Hotspur. They have Tell, they have Richarlison. Even if Solanke comes back, in case, do you want to buy? Tottenham might be a better attacking team than Forest, but Wood has a lot more incentive to play, and a lot of these teams. So like, if you, I'll give my own team's example, like Manchester United. at this point in time, and we three were discussing this on one of our chats, that at this point in time the motivation to do anything apart from say finishing in top 10 or say 10th or 11th or 12th is much lower than say a Brighton who can have uh, you know uh, like a Pedro Welbeck who have European ambitions, or Bournemouth who have European ambitions. So those are the kind of teams, like these teams are on the beach. They don't want to, like, unless it's a competitive match, they don't want to waste their energies and all that. So it's a very important point to note while you select your players, the budget that you put, like Arslan mentioned. All these are very key thought processes. The next one is playing several game weeks ahead. So this is exactly the point what we are trying to sort of build, and we will have future videos as well, so please keep an eye on those. Is that between game week 29, to say if you're free hitting between game week 34 and you're still undecided, today we are at game week 26, 27, you're still undecided that hey, I can do 26, I have a few players, sorry, I can do 29, I have a few players, maybe I can do 32, 33. Plan your plan for those game weeks, and where you can do, one of the best tools that we use, all three of us, is FPL team. That's It allows you to plan for like 5, 10 game weeks ahead. You have a vision of, okay, if I do two transfers, if I know if my players get injured, where else can I get in funds from? Like for example, I was just checking team news and Haaland is starting. Now, if you're starting Haaland in game week 29 and you want to fund it, you can actually go to FPL team right now and see that, okay, who do I remove? Do I remove Palmer? Do I remove Salah? Do I remove Isak, Watkins in the team that is shown in front of you? And decide on, hey, how do I get Haaland in? If say he could easily brace today, and then everyone will like, okay, I need that guy for game week 29. So use tools like that, model your squad, and build your teams ahead. Good, Arslan.
Um,
I think you were saying.
yeah, one thing I'll just quickly add is how at least I do it is try to plan at least 4 to 8 weeks ahead. So 4 to 8 weeks beforehand, I should know when I'm expecting to play a free hit. So let's say right now, if you're expecting to play a free hit in game week 29, what I would do is go to fpl.team, import my team, and then from this top rex you can next button, just just move forward to the free hit week, right? So the game week 29, and you can see I have Trent who's blanking, I have Salah who's blanking, I have Isak, Watkins, and Rogers. So I have like five players who are blanking, and I have 3 weeks to sort of plan for these five players, right? So I can put three of them on the bench. Which three of them should I put on the bench? And then basically like the you can go back to game week 28 and 27 and try to get players who don't blank in 29. And this app basically helps you plan all of that according to what budget, what fixtures is each player playing. So this is a very helpful tool. And I think live FPL also has a version of your game week planner. So whatever tool works for you, but the idea is to sort of bef- plan for your blank or your free hit week, and just go back week by week and see what transfers you need to make.
Great insights. And the last one, this is something which even Ehsan mentioned, right? Like, play it for fun. This is a game. You are enjoying it. You're not here to. I mean, there is sincerity and seriousness. So you're planning and you're strategizing, and it does kind of get to get to you. Like, okay, I like we were just discussing before this pod that everyone did Palmer. The decision was correct. The outcome wasn't something that we expected, and these things are going to happen. You are going to make data-based, gut-based decisions. So own it. Own the fact that hey, I took a decision based on Palmer. We knew, and look at his XG. His XG was 1 plus yesterday. They scored 4 goals. He had multiple chances to score, and easily a double-digit return. Quite easily, I could see a double-digit return. Everyone on the pod sort of saw that game as well. Also felt so. So these are the kind of decisions that you are going to get even when you free hit. You are going to have like an attacker on your bench who might not who or a defender on your bench who might score. You might have thought you might move on between say for 29 you might move between Mamush and Haaland, and say someone selected Mam because you will have a budget, so you can you can afford both of them at a free hit stage, and say you were like, okay, I can do Haaland and I can do Enzo versus say a Palmer and a Mamush, and somehow Haaland and Enzo sort of do well. So own those kind of decisions. It's fine. They are going to come and go. Play with your style, like they say. Trust your gut. So why not? And a good opportunity to try a few differentials in the team. Like, I always think, historically I've always thought of, okay, I can play a couple of differentials in a free hit versus in your normal game week, because that's your opportunity to play differentials and gain on rank. So own those decisions. It's always fun to have that kind. And yeah, those
Yeah.
are the key points.
Yeah, I think those are the 10 points that if you follow, we're pretty sure you will do good on your free hit. And I think I'd just like to sort of quickly summarize. So number one, target high XG teams versus high XGC teams. Activate free hit early and try to get the price gains. Pick explosive, high scoring players, players with high potential capable of like 10, 15 point returns. It include three differential picks. Don't like include 6 7, or don't include like 0 or 1. 3 to 5 I think is a good balance. Have two playing substitutes. Use budget enablers smartly. In a double game week, start like maximize your starting 11 and minimize your bench. Pick players with motivation. Avoid teams who are on the beach. Plan several weeks ahead. Use tools like FPL Team, Live FPL to sort of plan your weeks. And again, own your decisions for the free hit and enjoy the chip. Uh, that's pretty much it for today. This is our ultimate free hit chip guide. We will be doing similar videos for wildcard as well as bench boost. So if you like this content, if you like the time we're investing in this, please support us by liking us and subscribing us. I think I've said it like 2 3 times now, but we really do appreciate that. Any closing thoughts, SN Puneet?
Yeah, just a disclaimer, as we're recording for the 24-25 season, Game Week 29 and Game Week 34 are touted as the ideal game weeks for free hit. So those who are planning or those who are watching, for free hit 29 you have about like 2 game weeks, and for free hit 34 you have around 5 to 7 game weeks. So I think it's the perfect time to just recap this video. If you are playing it for 29 or if you are playing it for 34, then try to pick out the essential points. Use the likes of FPL team and live FPL and see how you can maximize the free hit chip, because unlike triple captain, this is not entirely down to luck. It's based a lot on strategy. So do your best to try, and it'll actually ensure that you take each game week by its merit, and until the point you reach free hit 34, a lot can actually happen given other domestic fixtures, UCL, Europa League, Conference League. So just try to be a step ahead and just try to do your best with this ship, because I've seen people, and actually it happened in Game Week 29 also, that a lot of people will just see, oh, I have 5 blanks, I have 6 blanks, I have 4 blanks, then they'll start taking hits. So those hits that are mostly panic hits, if you just avoid them, you'll actually be on a green arrow as soon as the game week starts, even if you don't make any sudden transfers also. So just try to recap this video and keep it as a benchmark, hopefully. And if you feel that we have missed some points which you think are essentials for free hit, given your experience or past free success, do mention to us so we can try to accommodate it later on as well.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
great
guys,
point.
for watching. Puneet, anything to add?
No, that's it. I think we've covered all. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Really happy to present this to you all.
And we'll be back again soon.